We're going in 3, 2. Hey, we're actually recording. So, hey, welcome back. Finally, Happy New Year and all that wonderful grand stuff. It's 2021. It's There Will Be Banter. And Kristina is out there trying to get her stand goal. Apparently, there's a goal that you have to stand for a minute in every 12 hours.
And I made it.
How do you not?
Hour 11.
What were you doing the previous 11 hours?
So it's the the Apple Health thingy. You have to stand for 1 minute for at least 12 hours a day. But you have to like walk around. No, I mean you'd be surprised. You just when you're working on something.
I am surprised. All right, so all right. The herding of cats has been real tonight. I am really not very good host, Eric Bandazeski, with a glass of the finest bourbon here to start off 2021. As you know, we have, you know what? She's not even decent anymore. We're upgrading in 2021.
Oh, right.
We have the world's finest defense reporter and civilian reporter as well, Kristina Wong. How are you and your step goal or your stand goal?
I'm pretty good considering it's been a spicy last few weeks.
Yeah, anything going on? Well, we'll get there. Anyway, and then with some sort of interesting headgear, we have the Australian eye candy, Mr. Ben Bridge. How are you, sir? Happy New Year. Vegemite.
Excellent. I'm being sponsored by Vegemite this evening, so
that's good.
Go and get some. It's good for you.
All right. Does anybody know what Vegemite is before we?
I do.
You do? Okay. Well, now that's a perfect transition. We call that a segue as we bring on the wonderful slow connectivity, gun-toting, lovable, left-wing Android user, Veronika Lopez. How are you, ma'am?
Excellent.
That's great. That's all she's got.
I'm not
what
a
is
fucking
Vegemite?
Mac user.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So like every time Ben has been like, here, taste this, he like gets this like sad, cold fucking tortilla out of a drawer that he just, I don't know where it came from, but like as a Mexican, I find the tortilla stash that he has in this house really suspicious. But then he'll just take this like cat shit colored paste and then like lightly like finger paint with it on the tortilla, roll it, and then hand it to me. And it tastes
exactly how it looks.
Like, yeah, it tastes like tar paper.
Tar paper. Ben, would you like to respond?
It's an amazing source of B group vitamins. It's a byproduct of the beer brewing process. So, I mean, if you don't like beer, you must be a communist.
I'm drinking fucking cider, bro. I don't want to hear it.
There we go.
It's great. So she's just complaining over nothing, quite frankly.
So, I mean, of all the potential sponsors in the world, Vegemite is what you settled on?
They're not actually sponsoring me. This is a beanie my sister and brother-in-law gave me for Christmas. So I'm mainly doing it to wind up Veronika.
Okay, well, fair enough. Merry Christmas.
We'd start something.
Happy Chanukah and all that good stuff. Kwanzaa, whatever.
If your brother and sister are watching, it's beautiful, beautiful Vegemite hat.
Thank you. I'll make sure I send them the link when it posts.
Yeah. You know, Kristina, I expect less pandering out of you. I'm a little bit.
Yeah, don't kiss his ass.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing right now? All right, so anything going on in the last 24 hours you guys want to talk about? It's kind of a slow news day lately.
I'm not drunk enough for that.
Yeah. Well, so yesterday we had an interesting happening of events, and it resulted in the loss of life of 4 individuals from what I could see, and the serious injuries to 52 other individuals. And I think the biggest incident that was widely publicized and seen across all media outlets and social media accounts was the shooting death of one Ashley Babbitt, a 14-year Air Force veteran who was shot in the neck. And I think the thing I want to talk about and highlight on first is if there's been a significant and an obvious shifting in the response and opinion of those who didn't seem to have an issue with the protest and rioting that was going on in the summer. No, I know, Veronika, I know where you're going to go. But at the same time, the ones who were against those same things and spoke out against them Now they are also having a shift in opinion on what took place yesterday. And that's what I think is the issue at hand, is that I think both sides tend to be either in favor or against, whether it's their side or the other side doing it. And that's my problem. And that's where we're going to start with the look at Kristina. Look at those eyes. They went big. Because Kristina, you were there. So why don't you take us through what you went and saw or experienced yesterday? Tell me what your take on all that was.
Yeah. So I started around noon. I went down to the president's speech down by the White House South Lawn, and there were thousands of people. Actually, it's funny because I climbed on top of a porta potty. It was one of the
That's
probably
safe. That's
really
safe.
bad decision, because there's this what they call like the exhaust pipe, and it basically is, I guess, the shithole. It gets aired out, into this.
That's what vents do, Christine.
So I'm sitting on top of this porta potty by the vent, and it smells like shit. And I'm like, oh God, is my jacket, am I going to smell like shit? Anyway, it was a great seat. It was a great seat because I could see, to where Trump put up a stage. I could see back to the Washington Monument, and I just saw like a sea of American and MAGA flags. Mm-hmm. And I had a really good vantage point. I got down, because it wasn't like the greatest seat in the world, and also it smelled like poop. So I got down and
welcome to Kuwait.
Yes, back to our deployment episode. Mm-hmm. But so then I tried to get ahead to go to the Capitol, because the next event was supposed to be at the Capitol, and I got stuck in a horde of people that were also trying to get to the Capitol, but it was basically it was sort of like roped off, or it was barred off. There was fencing, so we were all just trying to push towards something that we couldn't get through. But so when I was stuck in this like huddle, I listened to what a lot of people were saying, and met some people, and it was a really interesting mixed crowd of just normal folks. A lot of actually minorities were there. I was very surprised. I wasn't very surprised, but it was something that I noted. And so Trump spoke for a really long time. And then we, I think like an hour or more, and then talked to some people. And then I went to, sorry for making this long, but I'm just trying to.
Oh, take your time. We've got all night. It's cool.
Okay, so it was freezing.
Got plenty of alcohol for this one.
I was freezing, and I hadn't eaten yet because I was worried about missing the speech. So I went to McDonald's.
Okay, rookie move. Always pack snacks. That's what persons are saying. Girl,
snacks, Kristina. Jesus. Snacks. McDonald's?
Also, and pee, because I spent 4 hours yesterday having to pee. And I did
on top of the porta potty. You could have just went down the vent.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so girl, pack snacks in a shiwi. What are you doing? What are you doing? Rookie mistake.
So I was in McDonald's, and with a bunch of Trump supporters, and got my food, and I was in McDonald's when we started hearing about the breaching of the Capitol. So because one thing people need to know is that no one has internet access when they're at any kind of crowded event. I'm not sure why. I don't know if they cut the signal because the president was there, or because Veronika probably knows, or because everyone's trying to get on their phone.
Are you saying internet like Wi-Fi, or are you talking about actual cell service?
Cell service or internet. Like
really? I didn't know that. That's interesting.
We had nothing, so I couldn't tweet anything.
There's only a certain number of carriers that any single tower can handle at any one time. So each cell phone will hop onto the network, but it's not guaranteed. The network's designed for a population base at normal levels. So for a sustained event where they know there's going to be lots of people, they'll traditionally bring in mobile cell towers to add more capacity to the network. But for things like a big rally where thousands more people than are expected to be in the network on a normal day-to-day basis appear, that's why people aren't getting on and not getting reliable signal. There's no deep state conspiracy about cutting people off from their cell phones.
Yeah, no, I didn't think there was a deep state thing, but
yeah, but people online do.
Yes, the disconnectivity that factors in, and it factors in a little bit later. So we're in McDonald's and we're like, oh my goodness, people have breached the Capitol, and we're just like waiting in line. It's taking forever. There's like 100 people in McDonald's. So I'm there for like maybe 30, 40 minutes. I probably shouldn't tell bosses that I wasted so much time inside of McDonald's. But so anyway, I got onto the metro, went to the Capitol. And as I was walking up to the Capitol, a lot of people were leaving. So I asked people, hey, was there breaching? Is there stuff going on? And they're like, oh yeah, there's stuff going on. So I'm walking up and there's already hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, but there are like hundreds more coming. And so I kind of get there when things start heating up. Apparently, I mean, the breaching had already happened, but there were more people coming. And so the people were just sort of very energized. There were about maybe 1,000 around the Capitol where I was standing, and then there were like thousands more coming towards the Capitol. And most people were just standing there and they were singing and they were chanting. And a lot of people were just milling around. There are some people talking, there are people taking selfies. And there was this air of like kind of camaraderie and like jubilance, and people were singing the Star Spangled Banner. And there really wasn't much like action,
Did you see or notice a reason that kind of called people to, hey, let's storm the fucking Capitol?
So when I first got there, I saw a couple of people standing by one of the windows, and they were banging on the window, and I was like, oh, that's not good. Like, why are they up against the window, banging the window? Certainly they're just going to break. And this is kind of interesting, but someone had this like rock, and it was like this pretty big rock, and gave it to the girl. And I'm like, oh shit, they're going to break the window. And I kind of watched.
Are those windows bulletproof or no?
I think they are. They're pretty thick. So I stopped and I waited to see like, oh God, is she going to break the window or not? And she just kept on pounding it with her fists. And then eventually I'm like, okay, she's not going to break the window. And I left. And then I walked around to the front, and that's where I saw people singing and cheering, and there was one dude on a pole, and he was yelling, he had on the anonymous mask, and he was waving a flag. And there were several people who were kind of leading chants and leading to the singing and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, there's singing, whatever, but there's not much action. So I go back to the side where I was, and the window was broken. It wasn't broken, it was cracked, right? Yeah. So someone hadn't gotten in, but it was cracked. I'm like, oh crap. So I took a picture of that. And then about 20 feet away from that window, there were two police officers, Capitol Police, who were manning a door. And I saw the first dude go up, but now there were like 30 people surrounding the doors and trying to get in. Not all 30 were trying to get in. Like I would say about 4 or 5 were trying to get in. They were like, I don't know what they were doing because I couldn't see past the horde, but like, they were trying to get in. Maybe I think there were cops there, and they were just sort of going back and forth. The doors were sealed, but there was tussling, I guess, with the door. And then I found a good spot to just sort of sit and watch. And apparently some people got in. And so I went up to where the doors were, and this one guy was like, oh yeah, some people got in, they're inside, they're holding up signs from the windows, and I couldn't see them. So went back, just sat there and kind of watched, and there was a rush of some people into the building. Looked like maybe 4 or 5 got in, and then it stopped. And
Did
then
you have a sense of what the point was? Like, what was the point of the, hey, let's rush into the Capitol? Like, did you get a sense of that, or was this just like mob mentality?
I think it was mob mentality because like with the BLM protests that I covered, there's like, there's the instigators, but then there's everyone else. Right. There are people who are chanting and singing, but there are like the people at the front who are really, you know, so I think it was mostly just, what else are you going to do? You get there,
Yeah.
and then what, you know? And I
Right.
have to note that it wasn't everyone. It was just the people who were around the buildings, because there were a whole lot of people who were not trying to get in. And I think this is something that the media has gotten really wrong, is that most people were watching, most people were, you know, partaking in the chanting, but there were only like handfuls of people who were actually breaking, trying to break and get in. And then I was sitting there, and this guy runs by, and he goes, this.
What was
this
that? Was
woman-
it Thomas Blake quote? All that tyranny needs to survive is for good men to do nothing. I'm probably butchering it, but you know, you get my
Well,
drift.
you are Australian, so we don't. The low
But
bar. I'm just kidding.
so I'm sitting there, and this guy runs by. He goes,
I'll drink to that, Ben.
so this guy goes, they shot a woman. They shot a 33-year-old Asian woman. And I don't know where they got the age. I don't know where they got the Asian from, right?
They were close on the age, I guess, right?
Yeah. And then so I looked at the dude who the other guy told this to, and he was like, I don't know. And then this guy next to me was like, do you really believe that some woman got shot in the neck? He's like, I don't think so. So I'm like, oh yeah, you know, probably nothing. And because we had no cell phone connectivity, no one knew. So everyone just kept on like going. Everyone thought it was a lie. Everyone thought it was a rumor. And then like 30 minutes later, that one dude's like, oh, I guess someone did get shot. But we're like, oh.
So, all right. So let me interrupt you here real quick, Kristina. And then I know Veronica's ready to respond. I have a question on the connectivity thing, because everything that you just described, I was watching, I guess, because seeing these videos get posted and, you know, appear on Twitter. And it looked like the first group that got in was just like, oh, wow. Oh, shit. What? We're just going to walk through and film ourselves walking through and all this shit. And I don't know what the hell took place next. I mean, I've seen enough videos and accounts and read enough stuff on it. But at some point, these people are inside the Capitol. There's barriers set up. You're basically playing the one game that no one wins, which is called fuck around and find out. And I hate to say it, but some people played that game yesterday and they found out. And this is what I said initially, coming back to bringing it full circle, is like there was people who were saying a lot of stuff during the Black Lives Matter protests in the summer who have different opinions on yesterday, and conversely having different opinions based on their opinion on that. And so, Veronika, through your eyes, what did you see and what do you feel is just surmise what it is you saw and felt yesterday?
So I was at work when all of this shit went down.
Yeah, you were in your bunker.
Yeah, so I'm like in a fucking concrete Faraday box watching this with a bunch of other people that are far smarter than me. And we're literally sitting around,
my life.
you know, you monitor certain things for a living, and
Right.
we're kind of just incredulous watching this entire thing. Like, this were any other country, this would be called a coup. Like, that's what this is called. I think the thing that's bothering me the most is this like really loosely drawn parallel between the BLM movement and yesterday, right? Because context matters. And I think drawing these really simple parallels between two completely different situations contextually is not only irresponsible, but it's lazy. It's fucking ignorant. Like, they're not the same thing. There's no comparison between the repeated disenfranchisement and really the murders and executions of young Black and, you know, persons of color, and not even just persons of color, right? Because we have white citizens that are fucking brutalized by the police. We have several white guys that have been, you know, now it's coming out how, you know, like the guy that was playing video games with his girlfriend and got fucking shot coming out of his apartment. Another gentleman who, you know, he was protecting his home and he got shot coming down the stairs, and luckily he survived. But it's, you know, it's happening more often than not that these police officers are just overreacting to these situations and killing American citizens. And that's what these protests were about. And this again, has been a long-standing problem in this country, is that we tend to ignore certain issues and then we become very reactive. And the problem is that if they don't affect people on a regular basis, then they don't understand why the fuck it's happening. Because then it's suddenly, oh, wow, these black folk are getting real mad. That's weird. I didn't know that racism still existed. Bro, do you have any idea how many times I've heard my friends called the fucking N-word in the military by other people in uniform? My ex-husband was half black. My mom was told that her spick daughter and nigger son-in-law weren't defending his country when we were living in Georgia. This is fucking within the last 7 years.
Right.
And I'm born and raised in this country. You know, I don't know anywhere else. And so the comparison of that between a bunch of fucking QAnon conspiracy theorists who are rabid over these unsupported claims that the election was stolen from them because they're being personally victimized by fucking math is ridiculous to me.
Speaks volumes that the actual president conceded everything today too. So
on top of everything else, and Pence basically told him, like, you need to take several seats, my man. Lindsey Graham, who's probably the second slimiest person in my opinion, not even, Mitch McConnell's a big piece of shit in my eyes. Nancy Pelosi and fucking Feinstein are right on there with them. But Lindsey fucking Graham had the audacity to condemn all of this shit when he's, you know, been one of the people.
I think he was more upset that people sat in his chair than anything.
Right. But no problem.
They probably found his porn stash or his, you know, his bag of weed or, you know, something like that. That's probably what he's worried about.
Or his massive fucking, you know, gay porn collection, because there's apparently a bunch of rumors in Washington that he loves the company of men, which again, I don't give a shit about. Just the fact that you're going to vote against fucking LGBT rights, you know?
You got to keep up the facade, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So the issue that I have with the comparison of the two issues, right, is that people seem to be saying, well, people were vandalizing and doing shit during BLM. Why is this any different? Because it's the fucking Capitol building. This is supposed to be one of the most secure fucking buildings. This is a beacon of our democracy. This is a representation of our democracy.
It's also not private property.
It's not a fucking Target.
Yeah.
Which the owner, the CEO of Target came out and said, hey, we respect the Black Lives Matter movement. We understand this. We can fucking rebuild a business. We can rebuild a building. We can't bring back people.
Right.
That is their fucking stance on this. So for people to casually describe breaking windows in the Capitol building, jumping inside, fucking getting into fights with the DC police, the pipe bombs that were found at the RNC and DNC, the Molotov cocktails that were found. Yeah, bro. I have all I can say.
No, I've read about it. I just it reads very much like the fucking pallet of bricks that were always found being dropped off at these protests in the summer. That's all. I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying it just seems odd.
And that's the thing, right? So like the fact that those people were even able to get that far. Don't get me even fucking started about the defense spending bill, right? Defense spending, because that's a whole other fucking can of worms we can go down forever. But it's infuriating to me that this like really flimsy parallel is being drawn to two contextually different situations. And most of all, what bothers me is the people that are like, oh, well, Black Lives Matter did it, so now our team can do it too. So where's the moral line? And we've brought
nobody gets to do this shit. That's the line. It's like this is fucked up on all sides. And whenever anyone does it, doesn't matter if you're wearing the jersey of the team that you like, right?
So burning the police building down or breaking into the police building was a fucking huge no-no, and fuck black people for doing that shit and being pissed off that they're being murdered in their own fucking streets. But I'm going to base my fucking entire thought process on some loose-ass conspiracy theories that are completely unsupported, and I'm going to break into the fucking Capitol building? Like, get the fuck out of here. It's insane.
So Ben and I were talking about this briefly before the two of you hopped on, but Ben, seriously, like, what was the expected outcome? You know what I mean? Like this. So you heard everything that you heard everything Kristina said, not the hurricane. Kristina, the great reporter that we have on the show. You heard everything she said, but again, what's the expected outcome when we're weighing the pros and cons on, you know what? I'm going to run into the fucking US Capitol. What am I expecting to happen to me? And then when I get in, I'm not going to just stop and look around and take selfies. I'm going to go ahead and let me just try and break through barriers and find myself potentially in a hallway at someone who's in the single digits when it comes to the line of secession, because I don't know who's behind those doors. What am I expecting to happen to me at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's like we were discussing before, probably the second most well-defended building in the entire DC area would be the Capitol building, if not the Israeli embassy. And you know, when you roll up on the Capitol building with people who are in the presidential chain of secession and therefore have the right to access nuclear codes and shit, you're going to meet with that scientific method of fuck around and find out. So the fact that I saw a bunch of videos after this where people are, oh my God, I got maced and this guy hit me with a baton. It's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen, dude? It's like walking up to
You weren't shot by a fucking cop. You didn't get shot by a fucking 17-year-old kid in fucking Kenosha. That's what didn't happen to you. That's fucking
true.
Sorry, I'm like, what is happening?
So I walked up to it's like walking up to a bouncer at a nightclub and telling him
which
that
Kristina knows about because she usually leaves these chats with
on
her way to the nightclub.
You walk up to a bouncer and tell him you just fucked his wife in the back alley and you expect not to get your teeth punched in. Of course it's going to fucking happen.
Interesting
correlation. But two things that I want to quickly hit on.
Done that before in his Ben, did you do that?
First of all, the big difference for this one is the comparison between BLM and the shit show of yesterday. A sitting president didn't incite BLM to go and fuck around and find out, along with a bunch of senators and congressmen who were basically like, oh, we've been robbed. Don't worry about the Constitution. Don't worry about a whole bunch of the laws and shit. Just go and march on these assholes and tell them that you're angry and that you want me to be the president for another 4 years. So let's just tear up the Constitution because Donald Trump said so. Now, there's no parallel to that with any of the other protest movements that have been happening over the last sort of 6 months or so. So that's one huge difference. You have highly influential elected members of government who have sworn to uphold and protect the Constitution of America. And what are they not doing? They're not fucking protecting or upholding the Constitution of the United States of America. And it's something that needs to be called out. And then the second thing that Veronika got animated about and cut into my beautiful speech is the fact that there is a huge parallel there's a huge gap in the use of force demonstrated by the police and National Guards and other organizations on certain organizations, e.g. Black Lives Matter in some places.
No. So I see where you're going with that though, Ben, but at the same time, there were 4 people dead after yesterday.
Yeah, but 3 of them were like heart attacks. Only one person got shot. And a bunch of those people that were seriously injured yesterday, I guarantee what happened, as Kristina kind of pointed out before, is when there's a mass of people who are scared and agitated and they're trying to move from point A to point B, someone's going to trip and get trampled. A lot of people get injured in huge crowds because they get knocked into something and bash their head, you know. So, and like I saw this fat guy on the someplace this morning. He's like, oh, I got hit in the head with a baton and they hit in the back and I got maced and all the rest of it. Poor fucking me. So this fucking dude is just ambulance chasing at this point. He's looking for a payout. So how many of the 52 people who were seriously injured were actually seriously injured, or they're just like, I've got the black lung, pa, and they're saying dollar signs to get some compensation out of Uncle Sam. So I don't know. I'm a cynical motherfucker when it comes to this, but you know, 4 people were seriously injured from yesterday when a lot of people should have got fucking dead straight up for trying to breach the Capitol. Like the DC police should have just been fucking stacking bodies at that point. Because like you said, there are people.
I have to weigh in here very quickly.
Yeah, Kristina, hop back in, because if that would have happened, again, I'm telling you, like
we would have done what? We'd have been pissed about it because they were white.
No, I'm saying like
we didn't give a fuck. We bulleted black people in the fucking face. And
what I'm saying is the same people who are like surprised that everything happened yesterday were calling for this 6 months ago.
we have to be careful, I think, to lump everyone in together because, like I
said the
said,
same thing about BLM.
not everyone, and I agree with that. I don't think
Yeah,
I
everyone
do
with
as well.
BLM. I don't think everyone with BLM is bad.
No, it's not. It's
Absolutely
the
not.
organization.
So I don't think we should lump in everyone that went down to the rally yesterday. If you go to my Twitter feed, I interviewed several of them. They're young, minorities. One was even from Brooklyn, New York. She was her name was Imani Ayala. She's very pretty young Latina. I think she was Latina. Anyway, so we can't just lump, and they were completely unaware of what was going on inside. And they were there. There was a Black young business owner. There were two African American rappers I spoke with. There were like Asian Americans for Trump and like anti-CCP groups. And there were a lot of people there, and not everyone was trying to get into the Capitol. Not everyone was violent. So we can't just call them all QAnon conspiracy folks, because this is going to radicalize people even more. So I don't agree with drawing a parallel with BLM riots and what happened yesterday, even though Kamala Harris did today. But I don't think they are separate. I think the Capitol does hold, it holds sort of a special place in our democracy. A lot of people are condemning it on the left and the right, but I don't think we should crack down and shame and try to persecute everyone who showed up there, because there were grandmothers, there were a lot of people who just wanted to have their voices heard,
And that's kind of what I'm leading to, because, and look, I've been saying this since yesterday, and I've been saying it again today, because there's this whole like Twitter spat going on between AOC and Senator Cruz, and I'm just fucking tired of politicians tweeting. Like, seriously, shut the fuck up. Because like, you guys are not doing anything except playing to your little sycophant supporters on both sides. And it's stupid to me, because you got AOC saying the exact opposite of everything she said in the summer. This woman set up and supported a bail fund for these people who did the exact same shit she's trying to treasonize and say are doing the exact opposite now. And that's my issue with I'm with everything you guys are saying. You're both all of you are pointing out absolutely accurate things on both sides, but our politicians continue to ferment this, and it's not helping anything.
So I
really
think
isn't. I wish AOC and Cruz would just talk to each other face to face like fucking adults. Stay off the goddamn internet, because that's not going to help anything. You're actually making the situation worse by tweeting out what you think, because people are going to latch onto it, and it's not everybody.
I feel about how Trump incited all these fucking riots.
Exactly. It's the same shit. It's the same fucking shit. That's what they're doing. I don't disagree with you, Veronica, but right now is where we saw the culmination of this. It's kind of funny, actually. I saw like Elon Musk, of all people, posted a meme, and it was like the evolution of social media. It was like, started out as raiding co-eds on campus to storming the Capitol. Like, that's the evolution of social media in this country, right? It was hot or not. And now it's, hey, we're organizing to go do whatever we just did yesterday. That's the evolution of social media. And whether it's the president or it's a sitting congressman or a sitting senator, it's like, stop fucking tweeting. Stop. You're not helping.
So I think,
and no one is actually calling. And when they do call for the peace and everything and all that stuff, it just immediately gets shot down as like, oh, well, where were you on this? It doesn't matter where they fucking were. It's stop what's going on. Stop that.
So, but again, I think that's part of the issue, right? Like, it's again this false parallel, or this
fired up tonight. I'm just saying.
You are.
Take a swig of whatever you're drinking. You need it. So I think my issue is the cognitive dissonance that comes with both sides, but in my opinion, mostly on the right with this specific instance, right? So you have. I'm gonna use my currently favorite term, but you have these fucking jihadists that are going through.
That is pretty good, but I saw that yesterday.
Jihadists, Al Qaeda, and the Mujahideen are my jam right now. These, you have these fucking jihadists that are getting bent up in arms over, again, as we've now fucking gone through recounting and recertifying this goddamn election forever now, we're, you know, our longest election ever, he lost fair and square. And again, they went and stormed the Capitol building on a false pretense over a lie. They're basically, you know, whatever crazy fucking view it is that they have of Trump, that he's like gonna save us all from, you know, blood-sucking Hollywood elitists that are harvesting baby organs or whatever the fuck QAnon is peddling.
I'm still in favor of that if it's
so,
true.
Right, but like this insane fucking theory. If you guys don't know what QAnon is, go do a deep dive on YouTube. It's insane. But you know, regardless of what they believe, these people that like fervently believe that Trump is like the Messiah, that he's gonna save our country, he's the best thing that's ever happened since fucking sliced bread. And at the same time, this is the man that said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts regarding the BLM riots, right? So when this man stole a fucking podium yesterday out of, you know, the chambers, and you have people stealing shit from Nancy Pelosi's office and laptops from other, you know, congressional members' fucking offices, one person was shot. One person. There were no rubber bullets. There was some tear gas. There was some mace. But ultimately, that's my issue with this, is like the justifications for the fucking riots, protests, whatever the fuck you want to call them, are separate. Those are not the same. But the thing that we should be drawing the parallel on is the fucking reaction by the police and by our government and how they've treated these incidences, because that is a fucking problem. If we are going to sit there, if we're going to sit there and say, hey, not all of them are bad. Some of them were bad. Some of them did some shit they weren't supposed to. They should be held to the fullest extent of the fucking law. And at the same time, we're looking at a group of people whose political ideologies we don't agree with and say, hey, shoot them all in the fucking face. If you don't stand in, you know, behind us, stand in front of us. Like that whole fucking insane. We had this entire discussion about the Kenosha shooting.
Yeah.
Again, this fucking unprovoked kid shot and killed more people than got killed yesterday at the fucking Capitol building.
That kid was provoked.
That kid was a fucking dickhead and shouldn't have been there to begin with. But that's what I'm talking about. It's these justifications. If more people got shot
and had a rifle that he shouldn't have had legally, and was
exactly. But there were
all right. Let's not let. He's gonna have his trial. Let's let that fucking shit figure out.
Well, he's suing.
I got it. I do. No, I look. I'm with you. Kristina, I'm gonna bring this back to you real quick. Because I don't think anyone's learning the lesson. I really don't. Because just based on like some of the tweets that are going on currently with the president-elect, and I don't know if it's him tweeting. I don't think it is. I think it's someone tweeting for him. But I mean, from the thing with Merrick Garland today, he said Merrick Garland's going to serve as my attorney general, and then he's like, not as my personal lawyer. Like it's the same shit with a different guy with a different letter next to his name. Like he's doing the same shit. Like that's that's one of those same types of tweets that's just going to piss off the people who didn't vote for him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, are we going to move past this? Or are we going to just have 4 more years of the same guy doing the same type of shit? Because, you know, Joe Biden's not much different than fucking Trump. He just has a different letter next to his name.
You know, I think that's right. And my prediction, if we do this next week, and I might not be able to do it next week, but if we do this next
I believe it.
and we're talking, this is going to be it's going to be forgotten, actually. So there's a lot of you're seeing a lot of overstepping and a lot of using this for political gain. So I heard Tammy Duckworth was crying. You had Chuck Schumer say it's a day that will go down in infamy, comparing it to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
And you had this Council on Foreign Relations terrorism expert, Bruce Hoffman, who, you know, is a respected guy. He said those who answered Trump's call yesterday achieved what bin Laden failed, a successful assault on the citadel of U.S. democracy. And I kind of, you know, that's a shorthand of what he said. And so I was talking to this Republican aide, and I'm like, you know, Democrats are going to overstep, you know, that it's just going to happen. And so what you see with like Kamala and Biden, they're going to overstep. And I really see people kind of gathering their resolve again, because I think yesterday everyone kind of hunkered down. Everyone was like, oh crap, this is a big deal. Let's all be quiet. Let's all be ashamed of ourselves. And there's, kind of a mass condemnation. But now, I mean, those Trump supporters, the Trump base, they're not going to go away. They're just going to become even more resolved the more you overplay it, I guess you would say. And, as far as not changing anything, and your very good rant on just politics as usual, I think the media, and I hold my tongue a lot because I'm a member of the media has fucking failed us. It has.
Hold on, Kristina just finally dropped an F-bomb on There Will Be Banter. So we're gonna change the name of the show to There Will Be F-bomb.
I'm cracking a fucking fresh.
Yeah, I'm refilling. I wasn't planning to, but
She did
Fuck
it.
yeah.
How many fucking episodes?
Let's go. Maddie, I know you're not drinking this week, but Kristina just dropped an F-bomb. Get out here.
Oh, come on. It's not that rare.
Oh, girl, we quit dry January yesterday. Get your ass out here.
No, I mean, it's just fucking failed us. I mean, they're supposed
another
to be
one. All right, but go
the
ahead.
fair arbiters of what they cover. And, I think there's a fair way to cover all kinds of riots, BLM, even Antifa, and what happened yesterday. But I think they try to referee, and it's not saying that, Veronika, it's not saying that both are the same, and what happened yesterday was the same as, I'm not trying to say that, I'm not trying to draw an equivalency between the two, but it's like the media didn't cover what happened with BLM. They didn't. You had like Julio Rosas, our favorite other.
What up, Julio?
Out there getting hit by rubber bullets, and you had like the fire in the background, and then CNN saying like, "Oh, these are mostly peaceful." And I think people are just really pissed off at the media and how it's being covered. So like, as far as the storming of the Capitol, I think they honestly just focused in on like the few guys that like got in, to the Capitol, and I think the world was terrorized by what they saw. And I got so many text messages saying, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm at the Capitol. I'm fine." Like I never once felt unsafe, actually. So I think the media is just doing a terrible job, and it's really radicalizing people. It's radicalizing people on the right and the left because they're not playing fair referees. And cable news has done a terrible, terrible job in this on the right and the left in just how they cover these things. They're no longer objective observers. And big tech is making it worse because they're like, oh yeah, we gotta censor one side. And they try to act, I guess they're trying to step into the vacuum and the void that the media has left, but there's
two whole episodes in the last 2 minutes of your chat. One about the fact that media is controlled by a couple of human beings in the US because they own everything, and you have to look at their interests. Hello, fellow Australian. Hi, Rupert. I know you're probably watching this because you're probably getting scanned, but anyway. So one of them is that
Ben,
media control.
Ben, I know I'm throwing it to you here, but I want just kind of to piggyback off of what Kristina was highlighting at. I want to get your take on this because I have a the power of the screenshot, right? So Sally Cohn, MSNBC's finest, May 30th, 2020, quote, "I don't like violent protests, but I understand them. And those wagging their fingers against violent protests need to read up on their American history." Now, yesterday, the mob storming the Capitol right now are neither patriots nor revolutionaries. They are traitors and cowards trying to upend our democracy by force because they fear peaceful change and not getting their way. That is literally what fucking Kristina just said. So what's your take on that?
I think people will
constantly... hold on. And by your take on that, I mean exactly what she's saying in regards to the media. Like the media is not accurately covering this. So,
and it never will. And this is a whole. Honestly, we could do an hour's worth of discussing the media.
7 hours.
Take on the media.
40 hours. We could go on and on.
Years, but
years.
The issue with the media is that Rupert Murdoch owns a shit tin of the media. Rupert Murdoch didn't get to his position because he's a nice guy. Rupert Murdoch has lots of powerful people by the balls, and he exerts his influence through either that leverage he has or by paying people lots of money, and that trickles down through the editorial process. So people won't publish a story that is accurate if it's going to offend their lord and master. That is a fact. And there used to be things, well, in Australia we still have it, although it's getting worse. We have a public broadcaster. It's called the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and is funded by the government. So theoretically,
PBS. So yeah, PBS.
Yeah, correct. But that's privately funded mostly. So the Australian government actually pays for television and radio stations across the continent to theoretically transmit non-biased, non-partisan view of what's happening. It doesn't really happen, but it's probably better than a lot of the other places that are owned by Murdoch. So, but the other thing is, most human beings will wake up with their favorite, brand of news, whether it's Fox or MSNBC or CNN or whatever.
It should only be this show on YouTube and Apple and wherever else you get your podcast for There Will Be Banter.
I feel like we don't have enough episodes for that to happen, but sure, that's good aspiration.
This is number 13. This is number 13, Ben. We're getting there, all right? Hey, we're playing the long game.
Eric and I are the only two OGs here.
Exactly.
Wow.
What's up, Veronica?
It's not all about you, Veronica. You were late tonight, all right? But if
shots fired, and they're in the same house.
If you want to get a more balanced view, then you now can go and look at other things. You can go and look at Deutsche Welle. You can go and look at BBC. You can go and watch Al Jazeera. So there are other news
I've already
outlets.
said the foreign outlets do a hell of a lot better job covering our own media or our own politics than our own media. They just do.
Because their revenue streams aren't coming out of the US.
Oh, look at these dumb cunts. Like they have nothing to lose saying that.
Hey,
but it's follow the money. But anyway, the other point I want to make is about, and this applies to both, to all of these sides, is the First Amendment's pretty clear on this, and the tail end of it talks about the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So I'm all about people peaceably assembling, and to Kristina's point, she's indicating there was a lot of people who were hanging back doing all the right things.
Yeah,
because they believed that the bullshit that was being fed to them by the president, the sitting president, and a number of senators about his election being stolen, they believed it. So they peaceably assembled to exercise their First Amendment right. Good for them. Now, the fucking assholes who then went and tried to breach a federal building that has classified data and has federal assets and things that people who don't have security clearances shouldn't be near, it would be the equivalent of trying to breach a skiff. It's not going to end well for you.
I saw it recently and it kind of disappeared rather quickly, so I don't know how true it is. Maybe Kristina, you can weigh in on this, but I saw some tweets yesterday about hard drives were being taken from the Capitol, and which kind of speaks to
laptops.
Yeah, that could speak to more of like some foreign intel service type shit, like people who infiltrated those crowds because they were like, hey, here's an opportunity to go ahead and get it. Yeah, so I don't know if
people just like to steal shit for the sake of.
I know, but
for fucking shits and giggles, which is also a federal crime.
But that would make it would make a lot more sense if hey, that's what kind of led hey, let's crash the fucking Capitol when you got enough people in the crowd to go pull some shit like that off.
One of our goon friends who I cannot, I cannot reveal, who works.
Well, you halfway have revealed them by calling him a goon, so that gives
Alphabet, our favorite goon who works for our favorite alphabet agency.
Oh boy.
So he doesn't want to be named, but he said, there's kind of a line that is drawn within some services that you can't cross. And if that gets crossed, then you get shot, or, you have no choice but to defend.
Absolutely.
And so that's just sort of protocol. So this person said that indicated that it was kind of a good shoot. So I learned that term, there's bad shoot, good shoot. I guess good shoot means you're okay to shoot, so.
I mean, someone breaking and passing multiple barriers. I don't know what, like I said to Ben, I don't know what you're expecting to happen at that point.
And I think a lot of former and current law enforcement officers, so I put the question out on my Twitter feed, and I kind of got from the more sensible, I shouldn't say more sensible.
You probably got actual answers from actual people, but you got a hell of a lot more answers from people who are like, I'm not a law enforcement officer, but like, don't fucking respond.
Yeah, there were, right. Yeah. So there were some folks that sort of weighed in, but there were a few who said to me, privately, like, if he has, I'm reading this, he said, don't quote me. He's going to kill me. He said, well, no, I mean, oh shoot, maybe I shouldn't quote him, but I mean him particularly.
Right.
Just if that person has a protectee with that, with the officer, or is holding a post, that person's doing their job, doesn't mean that person has to shoot. There's nothing that says you have to kill someone, but you have to, sort of defend. It's your job to defend.
You're eliminating the threat.
Right. And so you never know if, like, okay, this hallway is my line, perhaps it was, and perhaps that was, I'm not condoning it at all because I wasn't there. I don't know. There's a lot of things that happened that, I'm not aware of, but like perhaps for him. And I really don't want to.
Okay, so I'll ask you this question then, Kristina.
Let me finish. I think from the outside, it looks fucked up, right? That's my, third F-bomb. It looks fucked up from the outside.
For the government.
I don't think it looks fucked up at all.
And that they killed this woman who was clearly unarmed. I mean, she was like trying to get into. She was climbing a glass. I mean, we can all agree, was that a good decision or was that a bad decision, right? And I mean, there's a reason I didn't go into the Capitol or try to get into the Capitol, right? I mean, this is not something I would do.
Yeah, you know why? Because we'd get fucking shot. That's like fucking implied. I can't fucking drive past the gate guards on post without showing them a valid ID without worrying about getting fucking shot. I'm not going to break through a window and jump in. That's fucking stupid.
Right, don't fuck with the cops is what I've learned.
You're gonna fucking eat a goddamn lead sandwich for lunch. That's an important.
So the question I want to pose.
Yeah.
The question I want to pose is.
Yeah.
Fast forward until February 2021. Joe Biden is now sitting in the White House, and prior president number 45 tweets out that, hey, let's go march on the White House because that motherfucker stole my seat. And people roll up to the White House. What do you think is going to happen then? Do you think it's going to be one person dead? Or do you think it's going to be lots of people getting towed up? But it's the same premise. It's just a federal building. People have just got offices and we can steal a podium and maybe some hard drives and stuff. People are going to get fucking towed up. It's
not okay. I don't think it was okay what happened. I think
But that's the point. There are people out here that, but it's just the Capitol building. It's like, fuck off. It's a central seat of power where people have offices.
I don't think there's a middle ground on this. Like, I think we can dissect the
I agree. I just don't think. I think what Ben's saying is that people no longer respect institutions.
I think
we've seen that all through this last year, Kristina. It's like people don't respect the institution. They don't respect what the Capitol means.
Okay, so let me just
respect reality. That's a fucking problem.
I think a lot of, so yeah, I agree that these people should not have breached the Capitol. But I think, and some people have made this point online, that after a whole summer of riots, people kind of get like, okay, well, I saw this all summer, and they almost breached the White House. I have on good sources, and I think it's already out there. They almost breached the White House. I mean, the White House is also a symbol of our democracy. That's why they rushed President Trump down to the basement, because they almost actually breached the White House.
Joe Rogan did a stand-up on this. They breached the White House when Obama was president. Like, someone literally was running around the fucking White House like, holy shit, I got in.
But like more serious. Yeah, I mean, you can. That
happened.
That's not good, whether it's Obama or Trump.
No, you're
And
right. It's dumb all around. Like, and that's why I say, like, you are absolutely playing the game of fuck around and find out.
Right.
If you get
If I-
shot, then I don't fucking feel bad for you. I really
If
don't.
if I climb over the White House fence, I fully expect to be shot.
You should
So-
hopefully that happens.
So
I hope it happens.
I think there's just been, and this goes back to the media, it's just been such a terrible, the media has like sort of praised certain and not condemned political violence. Political violence of all is bad. Wait, I don't even know if that makes sense. Political violence of all kind is bad.
Actually,
I don't think it's necessarily, well.
All right,
Okay.
Kristina, let me ask you this real quick. So the woman who was shot and killed, she was an Air Force veteran of 14 years. Don't you think she should have known this could potentially happen?
Yeah, I think she should have known. I think,
yes.
Right. Okay. All of you have military experience or have been around it. The two of you are veterans. Kristina, you've covered the fucking military. You just took a trip to Afghanistan. Like, look, if you're a 14,
you mean the lady who swore to protect and uphold the Constitution and defend.
What do you think's gonna happen?
No, it's not good, and I don't think they should have breached the Capitol. I wouldn't have, and I didn't actually. I did not even try. There were
you did a great self-assessment of like, hey, probably should go there. Yeah. No, I get it. And our good friend Julio was involved in that, and he was covering a lot of it. And I saw some of his stuff in the group chat. Like the dude was getting fucking smothered up against shit in the hallways.
Yeah.
Was he down by the schoolyard?
Julio definitely puts himself into harm's way, but Julio provides a great service for all of us. But you're right, you did the right thing because you realized and self-assessed that, hey, it's probably not a good idea to go following these fucking idiots into the fucking Capitol.
Yeah, but I'm not too, so I don't think it's right that they breached the Capitol at all. I don't think it's right that they went into the
It doesn't matter who the president is. It's a stupid play.
Yeah, whether it was Obama or Trump, it was stupid, whether, to do that. But I can see why, maybe I don't even want to justify or even, think about what was in people's heads at the time, but I think the atmosphere.
I think they thought nothing was going to happen, Kristina. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think. I think the atmosphere was such that political violence.
Listening to how you described it is they just thought it's like, oh, we're just out here having fun.
Right, because all summer we've kind of seen the clashes with the police and people are just kind of like, meh, we've been desensitized. We have been desensitized to violence. And
but this is the extreme version of, but if Johnny told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? So this is bullshit. It's like, oh, well, those guys over there were like fucking burning cars and like flipping police vehicles and stealing ARs and shit. So we can do it now.
Yeah. All right. So it's
garbage. People need to keep coming back down to the fact that my First Amendment right as a US citizen allows me the right to peaceably assemble to air my grievances. It doesn't allow me the right.
Nothing about that was peaceful. But we've had
that's my point.
I know. Well, we've had entirely too much radio silence without the lovable gun-toting left-wing liberal Veronika. So we're gonna throw it to her and let her just fucking rant.
Her computer's probably crashed
Veronika.
again.
Just take us home because we're running way over time. But we need to take this shit home, and the floor is yours while I go and refill.
So the one thing that I do want to say or touch on from the IT professional in the group, none of the actual congressional skiffs were breached apparently. So everything they deal with on the congressional floor is open source, right? So it'd be considered FOUO, so for official use only. And those are the computers and the drives that seem to have been stolen. So hey, like fucking tip of the hat to the IT fuckers that have to go through and inventory all this shit and have to deal with the cybersecurity fucking shit show that they're gonna have to address now. Like, you guys are, I'm sorry, my people. But other than that, like, I think my biggest concern here overall is the fact that we had this overwhelmingly, by all accounts, successful breach of our democracy, right, of a federal building, by our own citizens and without good cause. That concerns me. They truly think that there's a quote of a woman who like gets maced or whatever. And she's like, they're not supposed to be shooting us. We're the patriots. And like, they genuinely, sincerely, and wholeheartedly believe they're out here fighting for fucking democracy, when in reality, they have been fucking shoveled shill for the last 4 years and truly believe that somehow the Democrats, who are too fucking stupid to apparently do anything else, managed to steal a nationwide election, which is, again, completely incomprehensible by any fucking stretch of the imagination, just based on sheer numbers of people that would need to be involved, much less all of the mechanisms that would take to be able to pull something like that off. But there's also audio recordings of Trump talking to the Georgia governor the Georgia governor asking for these 11,400 votes to fucking just show up out of nowhere. And Trump talking about how he knew that the coronavirus was going to fucking kill as many people as they did. And they still think it's a fucking hoax. Like, it's insane to me that like there's an entire chunk of our population that is living outside of the realm of fact and reality. And those people chose to storm the White House. I am 100% about this country, about the things it was built on, about the values of our founding fathers. Like, does do I believe sometimes violence is a necessary evil? Sure. But I don't think this was the case. I don't think that the Justify or the
violent, right? Would you?
No, fuck it. Yeah, there's a lot of videos of like. It would have made
more sense. Like, I think what you're saying, like, if these fuckers who stormed the White House,
they didn't just storm the White House. They breached through the actual fences first, and several of them.
No, but I'm saying if they would have showed up, if they would have breached the Capitol with fucking ARs, then I think we're talking something different. But
most of the protesters at the BLM movements didn't fucking show up with ARs, and the cops still shot them, and they were called violent because they threw bricks through fucking stores. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I
think they did show up with guns, because that one dude who chased after Kyle Rittenhouse had a gun.
Yeah, he did have a gun.
The white guy, yeah.
The one dude that got shot in the arm, he had a gun. He was about to.
But he was a legal gun owner, and Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't. And that's what I'm saying.
Kyle Rittenhouse was a legal gun owner. He just wasn't legal in Wisconsin. Let's be honest.
No, he's 17 years old. He's not a legal gun owner in his state either.
No. Let's not fuck. I told you he's gonna have his own day in court. Let's not do that.
Stay on topic.
Thank you, Vegemite, or whatever the hell it's called.
Wrapping up my fucking spiel, right?
Wrap that shit up, B. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Wrap that gavel up, yo.
Wrap that shit up. My biggest concern.
Got some barbecue,
bro. My biggest concern is the fact that we are gonna continue to fucking slice hairs on these fucking ridiculous incidences, and we're going to stay divided. That's the fucking problem here.
Well, yeah.
Because overall, we can.
Veronika, I just pointed that out with the fucking Biden tweet about the Attorney General with Merrick Garland. Like, it's the same shit. It's just a different letter next to the name.
We need to talk to each other. We need to talk to each other like we're doing now, and not have Twitter battles. We need to meet up in person. You know what's funny is that on Mill Twitter, which I don't know if
fucking despise it. No, Veronika, stay. I run.
do not join Mill Twitter. But I'm actually friends, I think, with some of them. I've actually met up with some of them in person, and we're friends. But then it's like on Twitter, it's like not with these
exactly. Yeah, it's not real life.
It's not real life, and I think
not at all.
Need to get off.
Social
not
media.
anyone here, but it's like they just need to interact with their neighbors. They need to be nice to people at the stores. And like every time there's like a 4th of July gathering, or every time I go to a national monument, I see normal people just interacting with each other with no problem. We need to.
I've said that forever. Like, social media is not reflective of the actual environment on the ground. Go outside. Is that your reality? Is the shit you find yourself in social media the reality of you and your neighbors? No, it's not. But that's what social media, especially Twitter, is designed for. It's designed to ferment like it's
I don't know if I
not.
believe that because I would have found
Go
out
outside right now, Veronica. Take
I
your
found-
camera with you.
Dude, I'm telling you, when I found out that a friend of mine had really strong feelings on Mexican immigration, and I explained to him like, hey, my mom's an illegal immigrant.
Your mom's a rock. Your mom's a rock star, and
got
hey,
amnesty under Reagan. I'm just gonna keep reminding people of that.
I'm gonna say it real quick. Your mom's a babe. Just putting it out there.
Your mom's also a MILF.
She's a babe. Your mom's a
I
babe.
literally had to hear today that my dad was hot this morning at work. So
all right, well, hey, your parents are both babes. That's what it is. It is what it is. No, I think Veronica's right. I think Kristina's right. I think we're all right. And you know what?
Everybody's right.
Everybody's
One,
right.
I have one closing comment.
Except you're not right.
You got 1 minute.
If you're getting,
Ben, you got 1 minute. Take us home.
When the foreign kid with the ass-kicking flag and the Vegemite beanie knows more about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that you do and you're born in the country, you're on the fucking wrong side. So maybe you want to go read up on some stuff.
Look, if you guys would like to have the Constitution that Ben is talking about, you can go to the Apple Store and download it right now. Probably in the Google Store as well. I don't know. I'm not an Android using peasant like Veronica. However, remember, you may not think like us, but you probably think like one of us. We are There Will Be Banter. It's the first show of 2021. We got a long year ahead of us, folks. So I'm glad you're here. Hope you're listening. And if you're not, you should. And if you are, please share and follow us and do all those great things. Kristina, thank you for coming with us. Ben, Veronica, you are the greatest people in America. And we love you. Thank God. Bless you. And good night. I stole that from Russell Simmons, Def Comedy Jam. If you don't know what it is, fucking Google it. Shit on fucking HBO. All right. Love you. Bye.